Good afternoon and welcome to Spring Framework part number 3. Alright, so let's get quickly started with part number 3, and I hope you have practiced all 2 parts including the introduction part. And then after part number 3, let me give you a recap of what we did so far. Right, we changed the context, right, from Spring based or XML based initialization to the annotation based. We changed the context to Spring based to annotation based, and then once we completed this configuration right here, and we imported some repositories and some schemas, and these schemas are just like import from Java, right? We import different packages and those packages have all the details. It's similar to import in Java, right? And because once you have this URL in here, so it's even if it does not exist, it's going to automatically download from the internet and install it. And after that, right, and you have defined your beans package, that the base package is beans. And now we have, let me run this project first. And now we have a vehicle, you can see we have a vehicle interface, and it has drive method, which is implemented in car and which is implemented in bike as well, right? And because we wanted it to be annotation based, that's why we use this component annotation right here, right? Because at the time of call, because we're not making an object, because we believe in dependencies, and for dependencies we are not making object of anything, right? So now if I go to index.jsp and I show you, we're asking application context to give me the object of car, which I typecast, right? And I use the setters, we used getters, we used constructor injections, we used object injections. Alright, so in order to use the annotation based configuration, you have to define this in the Spring XML file, and then you have to even mark all the classes as component based. Then and only then you'll be able to call them inside your Spring container. And today we have another problem. For example, I have shown you constructor based injections, I've shown you different things, right? And I've shown you object-based injections, right? So now how can we achieve? For example, I have to pass a dependency on constructor, right? How do you achieve that constructor-based dependency? Because there is no configuration defined here in Spring.xml. So in case if I want to achieve that dependency now, I have to change many different things. Or what I can do right here, for example, let me show you a practical so that you understand it in a more better way. I'll directly go to beans and I'll make another Java class. I call this as tires, right? So a car and a bike both can have tires, right? And tires can be of brand. For example, I make this private string brand. All right. So let me quickly go and make getters and setters. Tires like MRF is there, C8 is there, and we have different brands like Good Day is there. Not Good Day, Good Day is biscuit. Goodyear. All right, Goodyear is there, and we have different brands, and we want to integrate them with the Spring dependency right here, so that we understand it in a much better format, right? And now maybe we have to define, we have already defined the getters and setters for this tire, and this is what we are going to use. Maybe we have object-based injections and different injections, right? So it depends on the injection that we are more interested in this time, right? Because since we are learning component based, so we'll try and go component based, right? But if it's not component based, we'll have to understand to do different things before we start doing component based. Okay now, so now we have this tire. It has getters and setters of brand, and let me have one more method here. So I can have, for example, getter and setter is, I suppose, best because we need to pass it. All right, so let me do it this way. Okay, now we have tire has brand. So let me quickly go in, let's say about car, right? And make a quick public, right? So I can make private make a quick reference of tire. So I'll say tire. Now we can say tires. Tires is my class, and I'll say I'll make an object of tires, tire. Right, and this is what I do, and I still have to create, getters and setters of this tire. All right. So now what I have done new is created tires class, right, with the getters and setters of brand. I have used the same tire brand here directly right inside the car class car, and I've created getters and setters of the user defined type, which is the type of brand, that is tire of type tires, which we just created. And that's it what we have done so far, right? So I don't intend doing anything else right here, right? So for example, now if I have to access it, right, so let's say about now I need to access this we can say tire property, right, and I want to have constructor injection, right? So if I want constructor injection to this tire, now where do you get the brand tire? Because you are going to get it, right? For example, if I make either I make an object of the brand tire, or I do something else. I can make an object also, so that's not a problem, right? So I can go ahead and start making an object of the class, or what I can do right here, I can make this as this tire as auto wired. Now you can see auto wired. Now you can read the documentation. There's no documentation present, right? So it is basically constructor field method annotation. So this is auto wired. So the moment I keep it auto wired and I go to this tires, and let me make this tires as component, because we are basically interested in annotation based configurations, right? And let me try and make let's say about a constructor of this. So I will say public. So let me make this public tires, and let's say this dot brand equal, so this tires accepts one parameter. I will say string brand is equal to brand. So whenever I give call to this constructor, I have to supply one brand right here. So right, and this is the component based, and it is already auto wired in the class car. So let me go and call the class car directly. So let me just deploying Spring. So let me deploy Spring completely first. Yeah, it has deployed. And now we have created the object of car. We set context.getBean car, and we have this c.setBrand Honda. So now we can see what AutoWire does is something. Now you can clearly see something has happened here. Right, so no such method beans dot tires, right? So now you can clearly see that we are getting an exception right here. If I take this auto wired away, now we have used an annotation which is auto wired in the class car.java. So now if I take it away, and now if I run it, let us see the difference. Now it's still deploying, so it is going to be something, some problem. Let's see. We're calling car, which is in component, and we say car.setBrand. Maybe we have both are having brands, right? Set brand Honda, right, and out.println c dot. Maybe both are having the same brand name, so that's why we are having this. Let me go to car immediately, and let me delete it first, just a moment. So let me keep it as it was, because we'll have to see, at times creating new things may break old things, right? So it happens. I should get, no, now you can see that already an error. No, beans.tires int, right? So we already have an error, but it was working yesterday. Beans.tires, so that is where the problem lies. Auto wired and component based. So let me go back to index.jsp. Are we calling, what are we calling? Car C, context.getBean car, c.setBrand Honda, and out.println c.drive. Okay, now if I go, yeah, the car already has brand. We are setting the brand and we are returning this right here. So that's absolutely okay. What is the problem here? So let me even delete this component here, because tires also have brand. Okay, let me refresh this. Yeah, we have this confusion maybe, right? Because we are having two methods of the same type, so right? Because we need to have, the brand of tires maybe. So that's why we can auto wire this. So now let me make this component based, right? And let me go to car, and let me delete this brand. So let me delete this brand here. And now private tires has no getters and setters of brand. It has getters and setters of tire, right? So here I can say driving plus get tire dot get brand, right? So this is what we can achieve so far. Let me see. Alright, so we have an internal server error, and quickly go to tires and car and again mark this as auto wired. Fine. Now let's mark this as auto wired and see what it does. Okay, still has an error. Okay, let me get rid of the error. Alright, so let me do it this way in order to make you guys understand the auto wired. I'll go back to this tires class, and instead of overriding any constructor, so let's get rid of this constructor. What am I going to do? I will override the method over toString. That's already there, so I'll say public. The type is string, and I'll call toString. So this is going to return every time I call any string, right? And I'll say return any brand, for example, MRF, right? So we have to add an override annotation since we are overriding it. So I'll add an override annotation here, right? So this is the string method, that is toString, and this is our tires with get and set of tires brand. And now this is component, and if I go to car, I've done nothing. Car, I deleted everything in the car. So car has only now private tires, which is tire, the object of, or we can say we created a property of user-defined type, which is tires, and I kept it auto-wired, right? And I'll now go to index.jsp, and I'll say car c is equal to context.getBean car, and call the function c.drive. The moment I call this function c.drive, driving a tire. Now here I pass tire car. So this tire should return me the type of tire, which is MRF, right? And it is auto-wired. I'm not creating any dual objects. So you can see driving a MRF car. This is the dependency. See the dependency. It might look very, very, you can say, normal thing to you, right? It might be like it's very normal, right? What is so fun in it? But yeah, you can see that number one, we're not creating any object. We're asking ApplicationContext to give us a bean, which is car, and we say c.drive. So once I go to c.drive and I call tire, I don't call any getters and setters of tire, right? Let's say about if this is not auto-wired. Right, so for example, if I am not using auto-wired annotation, in that case we are having null, because there is no reference of you're not creating an auto-wired reference of tire with this class car, because you're calling car and then you're calling this tire here, right? We can say this tire type, right? So unless either you have to create another reference, you'll go inside the bean and create a reference and pass the property. But since it is basically we are using component based or annotation based programming, so we have to set it auto wired so that it is automatically wired with or we can say it's automatically, the dependency is automatically injected whenever we call car. This is automatically initialized, because otherwise you have to create two objects. Now you're not creating any object, right? You can say this is what your auto-wired property does. So this was basics. So before we move, because we're not interested in Spring, we want to learn Spring MVC and start developing web applications like Pro, as promised. But this is just basics of Spring. which I said is going to be the prerequisite before we get started with Spring Web MVC or Spring Boot, like, right? So let's get quickly started with Spring Web MVC, and let's get quickly started with Maven also. And for that, what we need to do is start a Spring Suite. So this is STS, that is the Spring Suite. Call this a Spring Suite or Suite, right? So STS is starting. This is the STS bundle, and I hope you all have installed STS bundle. If not, then you can quickly go and install it, right? You can Google download STS or Spring, right, tool suite, right, STS, and then you can go to spring.io and start installing it from spring.io website right here. After installing, let me show you this first. After installing, Spring Suite is going to open in front of you, right? And the first thing that we have to do in Spring Suite, because we will be dealing with repositories. Repositories mean many libraries, XML files, right? I don't want to import them one by one, right? What I want my equipments to be ready before I start firing, right? Or we can say I'm going for a war and I need all the weapons ready, right? I'm not going to search for weapons at time of war. Should I fire or should I search for weapons? So that's where we are going to use a collection of all the repositories which help us using the framework Spring. And Spring and Maven are basically a collection, so we'll be using both Spring and both Maven in the near future. But yeah, I know since you are using internet, you might have to download it, and downloading may take a bit of time. Yeah, right. So I can go to, you can see this here, file, and go to import, right, and then immediately move to you can say you move to Maven, and this is basically an Eclipse based IDE. So the moment you go to Maven, and you can see install or deploy and artifact to a Maven repository, right? So this here, right? So now click next, right? And don't do anything, don't attach any file. If you have file, you can attach, like you have downloaded the file already. But yeah, if you don't want, you can directly say create POM. Yeah, we have to create a POM file, create checksum, and now we'll click finish. And now you can see here, you will see the bar, because mine is already installed, and you should go through and get started. And it's not going to take too much of time. It's going to take 2 or 3 minutes to install all the repositories, right? Once all the repositories are installed, you'll find them right here. And the second thing that you want to do is you want to be sure of having a web server. Then for that, what you need to do is many different things, because you have to see whether you have that web server ready or not. If I go to Windows and Preferences, and now you can see here, you have this right here. Okay, let me see. Server is here. All right, so you have to see the server also. All right, and you have to see many different things. Yeah, Maven is here. Now you can see archetypes, repositories are all installed, right? So you'll come to know about these things slowly and steadily. You're not going to get everything at the go or at first. So because you may require Apache Tomcat, so I am having Glassfish here. I don't think we'll have an option of Glassfish. If I click on any project, and if I click, right, say about on properties, right, you can see that targeted runtimes is empty. Right, so let me go ahead and start a new project. Now, in order for you to start a new project, after the repositories are installed, click New, Spring Starter Project. Now you click Spring Starter Project, and this is going to be your service URL, Spring.io, right? And name this project as my, or we can say, let's say about news feed. So the project name is going to be newsfeed here, right? And the group is going to be com.myproject. So I will change this to group com.newsfeed, and artifact is going to be newsfeed, and the package name is going to be I'll use com.newsfeed.demo.com. So I'll use com.newsfeed.com as the package name, right? And now I will click next, Right? Do you want to use any other services like Amazon Web Services is there? Right? If you want to deploy it over cloud, so we don't intend, so I'll say next. And this is going to be my final URL, and this is going to be my base URL, which is Spring IO starter zip NL. Then I'll click finish, and now it is going to assemble all what is required to make a project. And before starting with this project, make sure you know all dependencies that I have shown you, how to use Spring.xml and how to use Spring Suite, or how to use component-based annotations, AutoWire is already done. And then we move to this section. Now you can see, now we have already created it. Right? Now if I start running the project, right, you can see run as what? So I'll say run as Spring Boot app. No, it's not a Spring Boot. Run as Java application or run as a unit test. So now for that we need to fix certain problems first. Now if I go right click and go to properties and see that my targeted runtime is empty, right? So I will use here, I will be using Apache. So I'll keep the download link. Kindly find the download link down in the description section and get going with Apache. So I'm going to download this 64-bit Windows zip Apache web server. So now you can see I've already downloaded 9.0 Apache Tomcat version. 9.0 is already ready. Right, and you can already see that every single thing that is required is already here. So I am going to copy this. Maybe I'm going to copy this somewhere in C column. Alright, so let me take it directly to C drive, drag and drop, and let me see whether the reference here works or not. Alright, so let me go to Spring Suite again, and I'll say I need new. Right, and if I need new, what is that you need? Targeted runtime. So I'll go ahead, I'll say I need an Apache. The version that I have downloaded is 9.0, and I'll say next. Yeah, where is the Tomcat installation directory, which is here. Apache Tomcat is here, so I'll select the folder, and you can see installed GREs. Right, so you can see, yeah, we have installed. I'll say apply and close, and I'll say finish. It should come now, right? Show all runtimes. Yeah, now we are having this runtime here, right? So I'll say apply, right, and let me see all the runtime. So I'll say apply and close. Right, now you can see servers right here, Tomcat version 9. Now you can see right here, right? So this is the server, right? So I'll say run as configurations. Right, so these are all the configurations. If you want to do in the near future, you'll have to deal with many different things and many different configurations. But yeah, I'll restart my IDE because it may require me to restart Spring Suite. It's going to take a while. I'll pause and come back once it is done. Alright students, so now let them everything is done. Okay, the server is started, right? So now you can say now for you the server is going to be stopped, right? So now how do you add that server? Let me quickly go and tell you different things about the project. First thing that we are going to do is create, now because we have to create a new web project, because we are interested in creating web MVC project. I'll go to new and I'll go to a new Maven project. So Maven is basically all the repositories and libraries that are required. It's basically a bundle of all of them, so that we don't go here and there. We can install them separately, but yeah, then tomorrow if I require updations, so now I don't know which one is updated, so it's going to automatically update the repositories and all the XML files for us, right? Okay, having said that, now I want to create a default workspace location. I'll say next. And now here, if you're creating a core Java application, so you'll go with Maven archetype. So archetype is architecture type, right? I repeat, you have to select the architecture type here. What do you want? You want to create a plugin, you want to create an enterprise application, you want to create a portlet. In our case, we are going to deal with Spring Web MVC. That's why I say my archetype automatically is basically when you click on this, archetype is going to be selected as quick start, which is Maven archetype, this core Java application. But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the Maven archetype, which is, again, I repeat, that is the web application. This is what we choose for MVC designs. I'll say next, right? Now this is the group ID. So for yours is going to be blank because I use it. So group ID is going to be just the package name that you want to give. What do you want to call your package as? So I'll say I want to call my package as com dot let's say about demo MVC. We already created one project there, but now we are creating an MVC project. So the artifact, or we can say the artifact ID is going to be the name of the project. What do you want to name this project? So for example, I'll say demo MVC. So demo MVC is now the name of my project, and this is the package. I can use com. So com.demo MVC. Com, you can use that, and even if you don't want, you can see like simple com package is now going to be com.demo MVC .demo MVC, or you can rename it .demo MVC.com. So you can keep it like this. So this is the package name. Package name comes from the group ID, and this is the project name. So I'll go ahead and say finish. And now it's going to create the project and include all the repositories and libraries and XMLs. Alright, you can see from this side. So since it is done, you'll not be able to see every single thing right here. Right, you can see this, that is slowly and steadily coming. So we have this demo MVC being built up, and by the time all the things are installed, what I do here, I will right click the project, which is my demo MVC, and I'll go to here, just a moment. I will go to properties, and I'll again select the targeted runtimes as Apache Tomcat 9.0. Since it's now installed Apache Tomcat 9.0, I'll select apply. So this is now my targeted runtime for this demo MVC app. And the second thing, it stopped because only that the port is already used. If port 8080 is already used, you can double click this Tomcat server here in the servers board, and you can see here that as I have changed port to 8080 to 8088, now I'll be running my Apache Tomcat at port 8088, right? In case if the port is already used, maybe you already have NetBeans, Glassfish is already installed on port 8080, so you can change it to port 8088, right? And now I can right click and start this server, right? I want to save, yes, the configuration that I have changed. I want to save that configuration, so let it start. Now you can see the Tomcat is started. You can see you are now getting stop and restart. Just to check that, in order to check whether that started or not, I will go to localhost, right, 8088. Now you can see, yeah, it is responding. Apache Tomcat, you can see 9.0.3.4 has responded, right? 404, yeah, we are going to get 404 for that, right? So let me close it down since we are done with this. And now I expand my demo MVC project. All the Maven dependencies and jars are automatically linked. All the libraries are automatically linked. You don't have to get and download them one by one. All the GRE system is automatically linked. And now this is the source. This is what we are more interested in. Now this is my index.jsp file. If I expand this index.jsp file, right, you can even see that, right? And it has that POM, right? POM.xml file is also there, right? This is basically project POM, project management something. Let me see what this POM is. Project Object Manager, POM file, meaning is Project Object Manager or something like that. Let's just keep go. Okay, Project Object Model, not Manager. Yeah. POM file means project object model. So this is going to keep all the dependencies and configurations that you may require. You will get versed to this dependency, right? Slowly and steadily as we get started. But yeah, we're more interested in this hello world. To check, you can right click and say run as run on server, right? And I will choose Tomcat as my web server, and I'll say finish. I'll say continue without restarting. I have started the server. Now you can see, right, because we have to understand the different things. We have to understand the use of dispatcher servlet. Now we have to understand the use of context, right, and then we have to create linking and start using this file or this project as the complete MVC project, right? So this is a nice environment that we have set up so far. Things are going to be real fun using now the Eclipse STS. This is the first time we're shifting from NetBeans to Spring STS. Alright, so we'll complete basic MVC design and then immediately move to Spring Boot. So slowly and steadily we're moving ahead and we're going ahead with this. Yeah, do download STS. If you have already downloaded STS, do download Apache 9.0, configure Apache 9.0, and also see that the server is started in case the port is already taken. For example, if I show you this, in my case, because I already have NetBeans installed, so in that case, so if I use 8080, right, now I change my port to 8080, I'll say save. In that process, I'll have to stop. And now if I start my server using 8080 port, maybe you may get this error. I'm showing you, maybe you may get it tomorrow. You may get the same error. Now you can see, yes, port 8080 required by Tomcat 9. Server is already in use. So this is what I used to get. Then I double clicked the Tomcat server, went inside the configuration, and you also go inside the configuration file and change the port to 8080 from 8088, cancel it, save it, and start the server, and you get going. And welcome to Spring Eclipse, and welcome to the real MVC world. Right, so let me take a look at the time. So time is already 31, so we still have some good amount of time. So let's get started with few more things. Right, so you have to make sure that these, I'll have to give you ample amount of time still. Maybe you have to install those dependencies, you have to install each and everything, right? And yeah, once you get started, do not forget to do what I asked you to do right from the beginning. Go to properties and every single thing, right? Because you had to import it first, so right, go to import, and then we had to import install or deploy all the artifact to the Maven repository. This is the first step that we do, right? Okay, and then what we do, we click on finished, we download everything, and then we go and make a new MVC project, download Apache, save Apache, configure Apache, run Apache, and now once everything is done, then we are quite ready. And second thing, you also do practice the dependencies that I have already shown you, Spring.xml file and component based annotations plus. Today we have learned one more annotation, which is auto wired annotation. So I want you guys to practice hard with that, right? And once you are aware and once you get familiar with this kind of technology, it's going to be a bit hectic at the beginning. Maybe 2 or 3 classes you might not have server working, right? So you'll have to be very patient in order to configure everything and set everything, right? Because we are going for a war and we need all the material and all the equipments and all the machinery ready so that we can not face any problem during the development process, right? So I'm giving you time, right? So you still have a day off, and then till then I need your STS to be quite up and running. Until then, wish you all the best. Bye bye, take care, and do remember me in your prayers, and do install it and let me know if it can help you down in the comment section. Bye bye.